Welcome back, everyone, to DBDLeague. We are reaching the top 8, and we are going to kick it off with the one and only lower bracket first, meaning there is a lot of pressure today on the table. Whoever is taking an L in their matches is going to pack their bags and will say goodbye to DBDLeague, at least for a few months until we are going into the next event. Let me introduce my fellow co-caster with obviously a little bit of a joke here, because these games today are more important than the famous Zach of Rice that is sometimes falling. Zach, welcome in today.
Hello. Thank you for having me, and welcome back, everyone, to an exciting day. Of course, the stakes are high today, but I think we're in for a really good show because these are some of the underdog teams, some of the strong teams in the tournament that we have seen shine so far. So I'm expecting them to really perform today. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, yeah. They have to perform. They are known to perform. Let's start off with Eunoia here. Last weekend, they brought it into DBDL, kind of the debut, the competitive cannibal, or as we all love to call him, the Baba, making the introduction on the competitive stage. And Eunoia took it after a lot of drama, to be honest, because we had the chainsaw bug, we had a restart, and this restart went even more horrible for Eunoia, so they didn't even take an advantage from the restart, and yet they managed to win the set. Therefore, no surprise that they're bringing out Cannibal straight again for the first set. Zach, is this the strategy? Because Eunoia is thinking Cannibal is never played, never scrimmed, never practiced. This is our surprise set to take down the big names here.
Yeah, what's interesting about Baba is I think you see him a lot more in like a 1v1 setting with this sort of these players. It's kind of like Demogorgon, where if you're winning your 1v1s, then it can be a really strong killer. So I think we're going to be seeing like the individual players shine in this first match. Not so much, for in terms of map pressure and how the killer gets around, it's a lot weaker. So we're going to need to see fast chases, and really it's going to be a contest of the individual chases, one to the next, and just see how they go on, I think, if you'd agree with me.
Absolutely. Rapture, also the team where it's going to be tricky, though, to pull such a surprise. Rapture, we remember team captain Ryan was on Team Agony back then, so one of the legendary teams that kind of founded, kind of shaped the competitive environment. Ryan is longer in comp DBD than me even, and I'm already around for a long time. So it will be interesting if Eunoia's plan is going to work out, if the Cannibal will really be this big surprise. And then I feel like for the second set, we're going back towards more classic 4 versus 1 killer, a killer that is really, I don't want to say standard for comp DBD, but definitely has been a classic option for a long time, the Nurse. So Rapture, after seeing the Cannibal, potentially saying, okay, let's speed it up a little bit. And I often feel like that veteran teams are picking these quicker killers like the Nurse, the Blight, because they feel like the newcomers kind of struggle when they don't have a lot of time for decision making, when they basically get tested in quick coordination, quick communication. So it might be the thought process here that they want to put Eunoia in a very difficult situation.
Yeah, I think everyone wants to be in their comfort zone, really. And that's kind of what it is, I see. I think Eunoia have picked quite unusual, I would say unusual picks, because maybe that's their strong suit, and they feel like it kind of the opposite to what you've just said, in the sense that taking them out of their comfort zone would be best to maybe secure a win. And then you have the standard sets where, whilst it's really widely practiced, like the Nurse, you see scrimmed a lot. Like a lot of teams know how to play against Nurse, even in like these settings. So I think that it's very much I don't know. I would say comfort zone is probably the key word here.
Yeah, kind of. Comfort zone is something that plays a huge factor for the teams as well. It's always big also when you're having like your killer, for example, Eunoia now with Cannibal. This will be their comfort zone, especially if they are winning today again. And then when slowly but steady the other teams realizing that, either banning it or finding a counter strategy, and this comfort zone kind of fading out, it's always very big in the scene. We have seen it with Mastermind as well. It was a killer before that was very often played in Season 9, and now he's already kind of leaving the stage. But let's go back to Eunoia and Rapture, Cannibal and Nurse, and then, Zach, we are going to see the Shape 2 times. We already know by the developer update he will get some changes soon. His base kit is getting buffed a little bit, so all the Myers fans can be happy about the buffs, and also happy about seeing him in the Tier 3 and the Tier 1 version today.
Yeah, last weekend we did see the first few games of Myers, and they were so fun. We saw a 4K on Scratch Mirror, and we saw a really intense game on the Tier 3. I can't remember which team it was, but this is the thing. I think that these Halloween sets have consistently brought us really unexpected results. So that's what excites me about it. Of course, with the Tier 3 Myers, the special rule I think is they bring unforeseen or trail, so the element of stealth there. And they're inspiring like a lot of different play styles as well. So I think there's just so many different things that they introduce that's going to be so fun. And yeah, I mean, I repeat myself really when I say that, but exciting, I think.
And we are getting the players into the lobby slowly. So we are going to get into the game very soon here. Before we're going to kick it off with the first set here, we have a little bit of an unknown factor, not only for the tiebreaker of these two teams, but also for the predictions. Make sure, ladies and gentlemen, to get your vote into the chat. Who is it going to be? And for us, Zach, I love not taking the first prediction, so I can say later on, yeah, of course you were wrong. So yeah, let me throw you under the bus here. Is it going to be Eunoia or Rapture? Basically, newcomer versus veteran team. Who do you see coming out stronger today?
It's difficult for me because I am not as familiar with Rapture as I am with Eunoia, so I don't know what to expect from Rapture. I'm gonna throw a prediction of 3-1 in favor of 3-0 in favor of Eunoia. I think they're very strong.
Okay, Eunoia believer here. Let's get Zach a Eunoia t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to hold against you by... I love Eunoia. I love how they are presenting themselves. I love... Not only because there were some voices also that said, oh, this time DBDL is giving basically one guaranteed slot before the event to a newcomer team. Isn't DBDLeague supposed to be for the strongest teams? And we felt like from the feedback we got, a lot of people underestimated the teams that were playing in this Weekend Cup. So the fact that Eunoia not only won the Weekend Cup and then played a good group stage, the fact that they are now along the top 8 really makes us happy, because it shows that the newcomer teams, the teams that are grinding, that are trying to get their name out there in the competitive scene, they can really make a lot of loud noise, even against the experienced team. So I would love to go with you, and I would certainly be happy if Eunoia is winning today. I just know names like Flix, Crow, Ryan a little bit too long from the past years that I can see them dropping this, especially in a match where they have to take the W. Rapture is a team, at least how I remember it throughout the years, that is always shining, specifically when under pressure. So when you're basically saying to Rapture, win or leave, then they are shining. And I see this going to come out a little bit stronger here. We are having them together. Raiden DBD is going to come out as the Cannibal for Team Eunoia, and we have Ryan, Crow, Flix, and Fasty on the Survivor team. Remember, everyone, special rules about All Hallows League. The teams do not know the map beforehand, except the tiebreaker map and the Halloween sets. So Eunoia was selecting the Cannibal. They know where we are playing. They selected the map. Rapture will only know this. Yeah, so
I think it's interesting to think about the map, though, Diet, a little bit, because last week we had I think it was Wreckage Yard as the pick. Quite pretty classic for Bubba, but a smaller map, I'd say. For a killer, not as mobile as some others. What do you think? Do you think the strategy is going to be like a smaller map? Because map definitely comes into play for a killer like Bubba, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, you kind of want a map with zoning potential, right? I feel like this is even more important than having a map that is necessarily small, because if you are unlucky, let's say on a coal tower, for example, relatively small, I wouldn't like to play as a Bubba, because you have the main building, you have so many filler pallets, jungle gyms that are most often guaranteed, you have the eye loop, the midsection, not really the greatest map to play in. I would go very personally with the Wreckers Yard. I do believe this is the map that Eunoia has selected last week. I don't really see them cooking up a new strategy within 7 days, while their Bubba is still underrated and not really on the radar. So I would say this is their comfort zone. You talked about it earlier, how important that is, the Wreckers Yard. And also you have this shack there, right? In the midsection, you can be really, really dangerous with your Bubba, especially when you are able to have the first down. And it is indeed the Wreckers Yard. So, Zach, you talked about comfort zone. Seems like Eunoia really doesn't want to leave it.
Yep, sticking with the strats, going for what they know, and they've played on it before. So, especially when the stakes are high and it's possible, to be eliminated, they are sticking to their guns a little bit. As we see him here, Shaq trying to find his first chase. Look at the build. We see Deadlock and Corrupt in play. So no need to worry about Scourge or anything like that. Pretty passive. And the bamboos are very, very standard on Bubba. As he finds Ryan here down at the bottom side of the map, first chase starts. And I don't think it's a very safe tile to play against a Bubba, especially with that bamboozle shutting down that loop. Chasing it towards Ever. You see these fillers here. With Bubba, he burns through them so fast. So this is going to be really good for Raiden if he can just secure some of these pallets early on in the match. Secures the health state on Ryan there, and he's going to continue chase. It looks like. Actually, no, never mind. He goes off to see Claudette in the corner. Oh, okay, never mind. We see two survivors in the area here, chasing onto Ryan, trying to get that first down quickly. Oh, and a really nice stun there from Raiden. Those are really hard to land, I found personally. But that's going to slow him down even more, and he still has that pallet to play. Oh, and a really nice mind game. Oh, and he doesn't get into the locker for the bump. Unfortunately, going to hit him there, and that's the first down secured onto Ryan.
The ballerina tech, where you're turning multiple times while swinging your chainsaw, bringing Ryan onto the floor, and we are not too far away from the basement and the shack, and also from the midsection generator. Usually this is a very important generator. Most of the teams are trying to get this gen done as the first one. Rapture unfortunately not able to enforce this here, and now it's going to be tricky for them, because that was a 75% generator. In case Raiden decides to stick to the shack here, there would be basically one full generator going into regression here. Checking a little bit if between the back and forth, and we are getting informed by our wonderful producer Savannah today that Ryan also went down with the deliverance there. So double punishment early on, no deli, generator regressing, and Raiden doing a pretty good job here. He's trying to find this perfect mix between guarding the other generators, because if Ryan is being in the basement, you can imagine that comp teams are coming out with the absolute efficiency strategy, bumping out the objective with 3 survivors as quick as possible. We do see this wonderfully here. 2 generators might be gone if Raiden decides to go for a further camp here. He's still trying to scout the area a little bit, trying to scare off the survivors. So far, though, I would say with this quick down, Eunoia's plan seems to work out so far.
Yeah, and you're seeing the small map come into play because he's able to watch the shack and the surrounding area at the same time. And even if he's far enough away from shack, he's still able to make it in there and probably get it down. So I feel like Rapture's plan here is just to crank the generators. Probably the most sensible thing to do in this situation, because they are going to guarantee a hook stage probably if they do try to agree for the save. It's doing very well to protect the shack, and yet they are just doing the generators. So we'll see when that that survivor dies, how the game progresses. Just pretty standard stuff here, going back and forth, trying to gather information on why these generators are being worked on, because that's going to be useful for him going into that area of the map to see if he can secure that second chase. I do wonder if camping here is the option instead of spreading hook stages, because again, Bubba is probably on the weaker side of the killers, especially in this scene, as he sees Claudette, I believe. I think it is going to be going around. It is going to be Crow. Nice pallet stun there, but kind of zoned here to this side of the map. Pretty unsafe area, I would say. So I don't know how this is going to go. He flicks back and forth trying to play this loop, but holds W away. Back up towards the shack side area, and so that is Ryan dead. Ryan did fall. They opted not to save him. Shack pallet can be used and just continue a chase up side of that. Flix was working on that gen there, and I believe. Okay, so the progress is really high on these generators, so I think the game's going to be into endgame pretty soon. Deadlock there, but we saw the progress on the top side gen. And not able to catch Crow, so not able to get that second down to continue that pressure. And I do wonder what Blyden's going to opt to do here now.
Yeah, I was about to say, whoever gets into the next chase basically needs to make sure that we are an end game afterwards. Here we have the Lara Croft very nice new vaulting perk where you're a little bit faster, so this might not be the survivor you really want to play with around these windows. And there's the end game right now, not even someone in chase. I feel like Raiden was doing a little bit too careful decision between the survivors. He really wanted someone who's in a bad spot with no windows, no pallets, but sometimes when you're trying to really force that for yourself, you're wasting a lot of times because you're switching between the survivors constantly, and this is being punished here by Team Rapture. 2 survivors already out, so the hatch is now available, and it will count for the survivors because they have gotten all the gens out of the way. Flix versus Bubba is the dangerous 1v1 here in endgame. What a cheeky attempt there, going for forcing the M1, but unfortunately it's coming down to a no one escapes death straight into the endgame Mori. So we have a very clear win condition. 2 kills came out by this Bubba, so either in the upcoming trial we are getting 2 full kills plus 1 additional stage, or we are scoring 6 hook stages on 3 individual survivors. Zach, when we are now talking about the strategy for this upcoming trial, knowing you need 2 kills plus 1 stage, or as I mentioned, on 3 different survivors, will we potentially see a different strategy? Maybe not this carry in the basement camping out, and instead a more aggressive Bubba who's trying to get the 3 individual survivors from the get-go?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if he had the Noed there for the last kill, which really secured it for him. So Park's coming into play there a little bit. And yeah, I think the similar strategy of playing the safe Bubba worked out. But I do wonder if potentially the early game is going to come into come into play really for securing that win condition. Getting a stronger early game and maybe trying to spread hooks across a couple of survivors first before you opt to do that safe strategy of camping might be, I think, essentially the determining factor really to secure the win.
Yeah, let's see how Rapture and Eunoia are playing it out. Eunoia was stronger even than in the previous week. We have to mention that. 4 stages on 2 survivors was the result last time. So now 6 on 2 survivors, definitely almost 40% of an additional step up. So let's find out what Rapture is bringing out on competitive Booba. And we are going to see you straight after this very short break.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the return fixture of this Bubba on the Wreckers Yard. We have Rion, and peeping the build, it looks identical to last game, so not much to talk about there. We have the Corrupt and Deadlock finding his first chase already onto the broken truck here. We see an ace screaming off in the distance, and looks like he may have been found in the corrupted area where the survivors are more likely to spawn. Trying to spot out where the survivors are, sees someone over there by the hill and spots 2 survivors here. So first chase of the game. Looks like it is onto the shack area. Typically a safe loop, but a bubble with bamboozle, not quite gonna bamboozle that to continue chase around the shack. Chasing with that chainsaw, and we'll see. We mentioned before the win condition is 6 stages, 2 kills and 1 additional stage to secure the win. And as I mentioned before, they're going to need a strong early game, I think, really to set the result in stone. Getting that first early hit onto the Zarina, and it's going to continue the chase to the top side of the map, still in the corrupted area. So probably the safest for the team to play around. And we'll see the mind games, see if this 1v1 goes pretty well. And playing this pallet, and the window did unblock, but nice fake coming out there from Alkali. First gen pops in the distance and playing these fillet tires really well. Lands the stun that's going to give him so much distance over there to this connecting loop. And you can see all the fillers being burnt, but not opting to break them, not opting to burn the resources inside the map. Just going to connect these fillet tires, playing really nicely. This is a big chase from Alkali. I don't want to curse too much. But that is going to be zoning and comp cornering to waste as much time as possible. And I want to say probably not as quick as we might have liked the first chase, though.
Absolutely. For Rapture, it is not the best start here on the killer side. If they get the shack generator in time, kicking it off with 2 gens and making sure that Ryan cannot chain these midsection generators together via the shack, then it's going to be very punishing. He's not even checking on the shack here, so he's just giving them the second generator for free. Basically, Deadlock will do a little bit of work, but the problem compared to the first trial is now also the pressure that the killer has. You don't really have the ability to camp the survivor, at least not as good as when they are located in the basement, bumping into the corner here as well. A little bit of downtime, and not breaking the pallet here might turn out to be very punishing. Only doing that now, Survivor had a little bit of extra seconds for the team here. Will now move over towards the pocket of the Wreckers Yard, and then a nice turn here, even being allowed a 180 back into the map. And with this filler pallet being played, we have access towards the shack if the Survivor is running it right. But Ryan, now it almost looks like we are a little bit here, only short chainsaw attempts, a little bit of faking, a little bit of back and forth, but nothing that looks too confident here. Nice mind game, would have worked out if Mathis wouldn't have perfectly placed the lithe right there, getting some extra distance and making sure that the chainsaw will not come in touch. So far, Eunoia is playing this exactly how you expected when you know that this is the set that the team selected. Beautiful survivor performance, efficient on the generators, great individual skill chase, and Mathis on the run. This might be very punishing for Ryan as we are almost approaching the end game.
Yeah, as we said in the campfire chat, this is going to be a test of just individual skill. And to be honest, the Eunoia survivors playing around this really well. This is their pick, their comfort zone. And yeah, that second down really needs to come quicker in order to really, like, I don't know, for the win to look like it was going to happen. But you see these gens really close, and we're about to be an end game. Yeah, we still have Alkali injured, and this last gen is about to pop. So if you're Eunoia here, you just, I think, probably get out as soon as those gens pop.
Feeling very bad for Orion here, who has a lot of work done and needs to make sure that multiple stages are coming in now. 2-on-2 survivors so far. We need 6-on-3 basically, alternatively 7-on-2 to go for the win for Team Rapture here. Sponge 1v1 doing a good job with the know it, and we see all 3 survivors are prepared on the other side, meaning, yeah, we have 3 individual survivors. That's pretty nice, but unfortunately the second win condition compares the hook stages that a killer got, and there we have 5 for Rapture and 6 for Eunoia. So Zach, you mentioned the newcomer teams, the players that want to throw in their names into the scene. They might come out strong here. So far, it looks like going according to your prediction.
Yeah, I don't think they're leaving anything to chance either, because they know they're going to be eliminated if they lose this. So they're absolutely sticking to their game plan, and it's working out. I mean, on the Eunoia side here for their Bubba pick. And yeah, we'll just see how Rapture play in the second set. Maybe it goes according to their plan, and we'll just see tiebreakers. But of course, for my prediction, I want Eunoia to win all of it.
Let's see if the Eunoia fans can celebrate further. We are going into the second set. A lot more speed coming out now with the Nurse. Rapture set is ahead of us. Let's see what they are bringing up after the very short break. Welcome in, everyone. After set number 1, it seems like Ryan and his Bubba were not able to get it done just yet. Maybe on the Nurse it will work out. I don't think we need an oracle for determining the winner here. We will break that down to the pure skill, and this is what we need on Hawkins National Laboratory, a map that you wouldn't usually predict for the Nurse here, coming in with the Spice from the Shadows as well, Ruin and Undying. So a very interesting perk combination. Huxley is going to take a very unfortunate first injury relatively quick, needs to be on a good run here for Team Eunoia. Though Zach, maybe when you're loading it as Eunoia now, realizing that you will play the Nurse very soon on Hawkins, how do you feel about such an uncommon map?
I don't know. I would feel good about it, because there's a lot of rooms, a lot of lightning strike breakers, which is typically like how you want to play against us. So the map kind of working against the killer, if you're talking about how the killer works, but at the same time you've got 2 info perks there. You've got Spice from the Shadows and Face the Darkness to support with that info. So that might be sort of a particular build that specific for this map. So it seems like there's a plan in play here. And already a quick down, information coming in, pretty handy there. As he tries to spot out the survivor who he's just seen run away. Trying to stay in the area to try and get that Spies value. I believe it's 32 meters, the range on Spies. So if he's working within the area, he's able to probably catch out the Savior, which he has, and it is the Claudette. Opting to go for the tunnel out, and you also see the undetectable on the blink hit as well, which is also going to really help him in the indoor map endeavor. As Alkali there takes a BT hit, and gonna really need this chase to last long for the gens to start popping. Looking around there, seeing Face the Darkness and Spice information perk working wonders right now. Oh, but unfortunately doesn't blink into the map, into the room there. Gonna buy Alkali even more time, but unfortunately manages to cut him off and will go down. So that is going to be the second hook stage onto Alkali. 2 gens have popped. We don't see a reset on to Raiden right now, so they might be opting to do as much generator progress as possible. And yeah, I mean, I think Flix right now is playing to the strength of perks, and yeah, I think you're doing well.
Yeah, I must say I'm a little bit surprised here. And before anyone is saying something about the weird map, we have nothing to do with that. In the normal sets, the teams are selecting it for themselves. So Rapture and Flix selected Hawkins National Laboratory as the map for this killer. And I must say, so far, it is a little bit underwhelming. Usually you want to have quick injuries together, quick downs. You want to have a survivor tunnel out of the game. And so far, it feels like Flix is not the most confident on this map just yet, getting stuck in a few corners as well, as we have seen earlier. And here, really difficult with the predictions as well. So we can only hope that he's now going to pick it up during the mid game. We see the Slug coming out, trying to enforce the tunnel out on the survivor as quick as possible. We'll get the Zarina. One survivor is going to take the pickup onto Raiden. So Eunoia is going to lose a teammate and spending some time on the generators as much as possible, hopefully for Team Rapture. The survivor pressure is now going down a little bit. The game usually slows down tremendously when one survivor is left, but yeah, we need to make sure that we are getting a little bit of better pressure, because so far Eunoia is definitely playing this really well, making sure that they are having the upper hand here on Hawkins. And you cannot 100% tell yet that this is Rapture's dream map for the Nurse, where they are saying we're going to take the win. This blink doesn't work as well. Lucky that Raiden was not able to trigger any perk like balanced landing there to make it out of the area. Flix now opting to go for the Slug, so seems like he considers this the chance to strike. Spies from the Shadows is going to help a little bit. We had an eye on the survivor there for a second, but wants to make sure that the generators are not being completed for free here. Very nice that he's aware, based on the time calculation, that gen number 4 might be completed here. The other survivor, Sponge, might be able to pick up Raiden now, but it looks like Rapture is finally taking over.
Yeah, the pressure's starting to build. We had the Slug there, now picked up, but every survivor is currently off a gen as far as Flix knows. So let's see if he can put his foot into this little situation here and try and snowball it. Gets the hook onto Metox, and is going to try and see if maybe they're resetting somewhere. Blinking away, trying to find some spies value, and yeah, we'll see. Oh, but the save does come through, and so all 3 survivors are now injured. So this is a really worrying situation, not able to get the pallet stun there. And he's going to be checking these gens to see if maybe they're trying to pop them out. And no, I think he essentially does not want the survivors on the gens right now. That is, I think, what he really wants. And by slugging, he's allowing that to happen. See spies on that gen there. So they are trying to, I think, push the progression on these gens because of the fact that Flix is slugging. But that gen's getting pretty close, so almost at 1 gen now. I'm missing the blink. Oh, he's playing these stairs really well. And the survivor performance so far has been pretty good against the Nurse. So yeah, I don't know if Eunoia are going to be able to fight this pressure that is currently on them. Opting to slug again because he wants to defend these generators. Thinking back to them. Scratch marks though. Yeah, it is a game of push and pull right now, I think. So.
A lot of back and forth here. Survivors doing it really well, though. Not allowing the Nurse to take over the pressure fully yet, but on the other hand, struggling to get the necessary pressure. And Flix also finding a good mix between these safe blinks from corner to corner. And then on the next blinks, he's sometimes going a little bit risky through the walls. So this is making him pretty unpredictable and therefore shrinking down the counterplay for these survivors. Raiden, I don't think that should have worked, as we have seen the Nurse coming out through the door frame, but it is actually successful here. Flix does not catch The survivor now going to make the turn though, and Raiden is a little bit too worried about that, is going to take the down here in the portal room, but Sponge and Mattox on the top side trying to go for that fourth generator. And it makes a lot of sense because the win condition would change drastically. If you are getting generator number 4 out of the way, your killer is basically able to play with a 3-gen that can exist on the bottom side next to the portal room, on the top side, left and right side of staircase, for example. So you would really put the pressure up. Is Mattox able to go for that final generator? That's going to be the most important question of this trial. The answer is no, they are not trying, as they now, of course, expect Raiden to stay on the floor as well together with Sponge. So Flix has the time to check on all the generators, and you don't want to risk the 4K right here. Who will be picked up first? Mattox close, has a sprint burst as well in case he's going to be found. Flix on the hide and seek game, so far not successful, but it really points towards a 4K here.
Yeah, we do see Unbreakable on Raiden. I don't know if he used it yet. Might be trying to opt to save that for a bit of a clutch situation, but you see pretty standard tactics on Nurse, but interesting to see how it's playing on Hawkins. Slugging one side of the map, they're just trying to pull the Nurse away from these gens as far as possible, and it is just essentially a case of who's going to mess up first. And yeah, so Sponge's going to get found here. Raiden's still on the floor, so we're back to 4, and I think. Oh, so Raiden there crawled into the map so that Mattox could pick him up easier, which is going to help because it's probably the safest place to be against this Nurse. Having all of these. Oh my god, was that a grab? I think there was a slight stutter there for me, and I didn't quite realize straight away.
Grab, yeah.
It is just. I mean, it's the same. It's this pressure is crazy, and I don't know if. I think you're right, Dad. This is leading towards 4K. Yeah, Sponge gonna go down, and I believe he knows where Mattox is, so gonna go away and find him. And he has the spies. Mattox is running around, so only a matter of time before that perk probably exposes him. And I'm gonna assume Raiden used Unbreakable because he's not picked himself up yet. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of time. Dyer, before this comes to a close.
God. It should come all down to the 4K now. Raiden is going to bleed out, use the Unbreakable early in this case, because I really don't see the reason to wait until the final millisecond. If you're wondering, a bleed out is still awarding all stages to the killer, so they don't have to worry about that. Sponge and Mattox now onto the floor. The hatch would not matter here in this case, as the survivors need to get all the generators done. So a hatch escape or exit gate is considered. So Flix is just going to collect these meat pieces that are laying around on Hawkins. And of course, we have to take back our critique that we expressed earlier. It looked a little bit like a rough start for Flix, but then really picking it up after warming up, basically making sure that Rapture is taking the 4K here. Seems like he doesn't want to risk anything with Deliverance or any second chance being brought into the trial, so we will just wait until Sponge is being bleeding out. And in the meanwhile, we can use the time for some tactical discussion here. I don't think it's going to be an easy upcoming trial for Team Eunoia. There are certainly maps like the Coal Tower, like the Suffocation Pit or Wrecker's Yard, where you are thinking when you are loading in, oh yeah, I'm a Nurse main myself, this is going to be a pretty standard match, I'm scrimming this pretty often. I would honestly be a little bit worried if I'm a player of Eunoia right now, because Hawkins is 100% not a typical Nurse map. So you really need to have something up the sleeve for that game, and you need to basically play a perfect Nurse game. 4 kills on only 2 generators completed, 3 generators remaining is pretty much a perfect Nurse game. How do you want to play that on Hawkins?
I don't know, it is a bit of a tactical curveball from Rapture. I mean, we talked about the weird picks of Eunoia, but finding a weird pick here from Rapture is definitely a spanner in the works. I I think we can see that they have had a game plan on both sides, and they've executed it well. So it is just, I think, probably going to be seeing if they can sort of disrupt that. And if Eunoia take this set, it's going to be massive for them going into game 3, I think. We are just going to take a short break, and we'll see you in a minute for the return fixture. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hawkins Laboratory. And we have Raiden on the nurse for Team Eunoia. As we just saw, win condition, nice and simple. We need a 4K at 1 generator remaining. And we see a little bit of a different build being used here. We have the Eruption, Grim Embrace, Ruin, and Corrupt. So instead of the information perks that we saw last time, we have a bit more of a generator-oriented build. And he finds an early chase onto Crow here. Nice early hit, being able to predict the survivor position there quite nicely. And he will be hoping for quite a quick chase here. Nice, good early start. He's going to be feeling really good about that. And he gets the down very nice into that room, predicting the movement of Crow very nicely. And we're going to see him hook the survivor and hopefully try to find the next chase. I do wonder if the playstyle might be a bit different for the Grim Embrace, trying to spread these hooks early on to get the full value. Going to proc Grim Embrace, maybe opting just to slow them down, of course. But yeah, nice early start here for Raiden.
Yeah, exactly as you want to see it from your killer when there is a difficult win condition ahead. Unfortunately, not able to blink to the upper floor here, going back straight towards the hook. So we seem to have a little bit of a mixture here. On the one hand, you want to get the individual survivors early together with the Grim, and then in case that is not enough, or the alternative strategy, coming back in the perfect moment, making sure that we are having the rescuer as quick as possible. So let's see what Raiden ultimately decides for. We would need to find the survivor, though, to start spreading across the individual survivors. And this is going to be good news for Team Eunoia, because this would be a fresh hook. So the Grim strategy can work out. And we are also going after Crow, because we can expect after the first down, the survivor that is rotating in next has the deliverance. So denying that is a very crucial counterplay here. And it seems like this was successful. Vasti is now going to be thrown onto the hook. I still remember sometimes a couple of weeks ago, someone said in our YouTube comments, Raiden is going to take DBDL by storm, basically identifying the talent that this newcomer killer has. And this is also the perfect chance to prove us as the audience and the casters here today what they are capable of. Grim Embrace coming out with the second stack already. But also, unfortunately, the second generator. And Zach, that is kind of impressive and showing us how efficient Team Rapture is. The fact that we are denying the counterplay from the survivors, making sure that they are immediately back onto the hook, tunnel out working, Grim Embrace proccing. And even though this is all successful, we're still getting 2 generators done almost instantly is pretty huge.
Yeah, considering Raiden and how much time he's wasting, I'm monitoring the slug to see if the survivors going for the pickup. Of course, they want to stop that tunnel out, but the fact that they get 2 gens done with information on 3 of the survivors is just really good. Definitely in their comfort zone on this map, and I do wonder that the build that's coming in here probably more suitable for the classic maps that we see. So I'm sure. Not what Raiden was expecting, but doing really well, I think. Keeping the pressure on, doing really nice. Finding these chases quickly, too. And he already has 2 stacks of Grim Embrace, and this will be the 3rd. So getting value that he needs from the perks. As Crow is put in basement there, not the safest place. And he's just going to be trying to find where these survivors are, because he wants to stop that... he wants to stop the gens being done, because if they do complete 4 generators, that is the win for Rapture. So as the game progresses, it's going to sort of ramp up in pressure, and I think that Raiden's doing a good job of managing that. Save does come through onto Crow. Probably wants to ensure the tunnel out, gets a hit onto Flix, who'd be coming for the save, and yep, continuing chase onto Crow here in these surrounding rooms. I do. Oh, and he gets the grab out of the locker. That's not going to be. Oh, the decisive strike. Never mind. Doing very well there with the puck, and going to continue chase. I assume Crow wants a strong chase here, but unfortunately misses the dead hard and is not going to be too long of a chase. Able to connect there with the hit, and is going to be seeing Crow out of the game. 3 generators left. Have to assume that you see 2, maybe 3 survivors there working on Gen separately. So the game is going to get a bit more intense now.
Yeah, here the corner generator is 100% going to be completed. I don't see any chance that Raiden is interrupting that. So we would talk at least about the tie condition, which would still be pretty impressive. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, actually, I spoke too soon and Raiden is even better than my predictions. There's going to be the interruption and the kick. Unfortunately, they have a 3rd generator prepared for us. So now it would be the tie condition. Now, of course, it's going to be really, really difficult. As soon as Rapture is getting 1 more generator out of the way, they would take the win in this set here with the Nurse, trying to make sure that Rapture is going to face as much pressure as possible. Next injury coming out here now on the staircase, trying to get the survivors as quick as possible, but Rapture realizes that, of course, as well, knowing exactly that every single second now can be the difference between getting the generator and the win condition or not, trying to listen where the steps are, getting Fasty very quickly onto the floor. And I like what Rapture is doing here. They are not trying to grind out the last generator by force. Instead, they are taking care of a little bit of reset, not taking too much risk, making sure that Raiden has to re-injure them before going for a down in the hook stage. So I really like that attempt, because very often we see when we are close to the win condition that teams are falling a little bit into some sort of tunnel vision, and then they only focus on this final generator and then they overcommit, and this can ultimately lead into not having the success that you're looking for. So Rapture here with Flix at least, and the reset, making sure that they also have a rescuer who could potentially go for a trade. Raiden trying to find the survivors, but they have pulled back. They're slowing it down here, and the fact that also nobody is being chased right now offers the window of opportunity to go for a full reset, putting all 3 survivors back to healthy, then splitting up across 3 individual generators, 1 in the midsection, maybe even 1 on the top, 1 of the bottom side. So Rapture really having a lot of potential on their hand, and I feel like they shouldn't lose this.
Yeah, going for the safer option to slow down the game and reset. Especially when they know that they need to win in order to stay in the tournament. Having all survivors healthy gives them the best chance to secure that win. But a really nice quick chase onto Flix there, and we have an injury onto Rion, so they're almost back to square one. We still have Bathy there with being the healthy survivor, and yeah, this Jen is getting really close, and I suspect Raiden is on his way here, but I think they get it done, to be honest, and that is going to be it. Yep, so that is the win secured for Rapture. So very well played, good game from both sides. Of course, as we said, the pressure ramps up sort of when that win condition gets closer, and yeah, I mean, I think that reset that they've just done just bought them enough time really to secure that gen. Opting for the certainty and the high stakes, and yeah, really well played. Finds Rion here in the area. Of course, the gen just popped, so couldn't have gone too far. Oh, it comes through onto Flix, and now for Rapture and for Raiden, it's probably just a case of getting the best result possible going into the next game. The mindsets of the players, and we do have an interesting set next with the Myers, so that will maybe turn the tides for either of these teams.
Yeah, a little bit more specific, the tier 3 Myers coming out first for us, or the dangerous version basically, where we are forcing the killers also to bring Unforeseen or Trail of Torment to pair this killing machine Myers with a little bit of Undetectable. But as you mentioned, it's important now for Raiden to not allow Team Rapture to feel confident on the Survivor side, because they will stay on this side when we are switching for the Myers set. Holding the blink, trying to find the next survivor, unfortunately getting stuck in the corner here. Not able to move as quick as Raiden wanted that. And we are now able, we are basically a little bit on half time, we could say. 4 sets are guaranteed now. 2 of them have been played. So we are going to see Myers back-to-back, tier 3 first, and after that the very famous jump scare mirror Myers. When we are looking on the tier 3 Myers, we have seen a lot of different performances as and against these tier 3 Myers. Quite some teams are a little bit overwhelmed with the constant one hit. We have seen teams that were trying to hide 2 survivors constantly. The good news for both teams though, Zach, regardless of what strategy they choose, especially for the end game here, very nicely done with generator number 5, but basically whatever strategy they are about to choose, they are warmed up with Hawkins, because that's where the tier 3 Myers is going to be played.
Yeah, having the map warm up into the back-to-back Myers games, definitely very nice circumstantially, situationally. I'm excited for the Myers games because they are going to be crazy, I think. We saw 2 extremely different results last week. We had a 4K one into a 0 hook game. So, you know, opposite ends of the scale. And it just shows these games can go either way. I just think that we're thankfully seeing these sets. It's going to be really nice, I think, and a different change of pace from these very planned strategies that they've had in the first 2 games. Yeah, I think we owe that to the Halloween sets, I think.
Absolutely. This is the spirit also that we tried to bring into this tournament, right? These a little bit spectacular killers, these unique challenges. We are having potentially a very unique challenge later with the Halloween spirit as well. But it also feels like that Rapture and Eunoia themselves are going to put themselves on unique challenges, and we don't even need to contribute to that, because I think a Cannibal and a Nurse on Hawkins, self-picked by the teams, is already very, very unique. Flix is making it out of the door. Congratulations to Team Rapture for achieving that. There's definitely a huge reason to feel confident when going into the upcoming set on the Survivor side. Now, while we are going to set up set number 3, as I said, we are a little bit on halftime, we could say. 4 sets are guaranteed. Now, let's talk about Hawkins once again, because of course we have talked about line of sight breaking earlier, long rooms, a lot of walls. Now, when we are talking about Myers, we need to judge the map completely differently, as the mechanics are fundamentally different when talking about these 2 killers. This one time where we have actually seen a survivor team that was trying to keep 2 survivors hidden, I feel like that was a pretty smart attempt when talking about the Myers, because for reaching tier 3, you obviously need a lot of stalk progress. You really want to find individual survivors. Hawkins is a fantastic map to hide, especially in the early game. You have a lot of rooms. You can hide behind boxes, walls. You have a lot of lockers around as well. Zach, would you say there's a chance that we are going to see some stealthy hiding attempt again? Or is Eunoia now, after the Nurse loss, especially on the survivor side later on, a little bit more aggressive and says, okay, it's 1-1, we need to put pressure onto Rapture, we pick this set, let's just smash the gens and take a bit of risk?
Yeah, I think that what we saw last weekend, both teams will be aware that it is about the stalk progress because of that infinite tier 3, and that is what is, I think, probably what the priority for the kill is going to be. So seeing that stealth is going to hinder that. So it's going to be based on, I think, probably the first, or how quick you can find a survivor to get that stalk going. And I think, yeah, like you say, that the map is very good to do it. And yeah, they're going to need really good communication, especially on an indoor map. They're going to need to communicate where the Myers is. So if they do opt to stealth, the survivors know how close they are in proximity to the Myers. They can move, they can relocate. And yeah, just like we said, just introducing these new playstars is going to make for an interesting game. And I think it's all going to be determined by how fast he gets his tier 3.
Yeah, this is the big key, right? And the decider of the game. When is tier 3 on the Michael actually coming out? And I feel like this is even more important than this set than the individual chases. Of course, you can make a lot of great extra chase time. You can cut some seconds here, you can cut some seconds there. But the biggest factor is going to be the tier 3, because once the tier 3 is procced, the survivors are under so much pressure that they are going to throw resources earlier because they have to play safer. They are pulling back earlier from the generators as soon as they are hearing the heartbeat. So this is going to affect the resource management across the map. Therefore, the chase times, it's affecting the efficiency on the generators. Therefore, the pressure that you can apply on the killer. And I also feel like it has some mental aspect, basically, because when you are loading in as the Myers with the key challenge, I need to get tier 3 done as quick as possible, and you're not getting that, and it's denied by a survivor team constantly hiding, constantly being careful, I feel like you are getting a little bit nervous.
Yeah, but on the flip side, in order to do that, you have to slow down the progression on the gens. So if they do opt to do that, then the killer's probably not going to be seeing too many gens pop. So in a sense, you've got that safety there. I think the use of the perks as well, the Trail of Torment or Unforeseen, is going to be good in order to try and secure that tier 3, because an undetectable Myers on an indoor map, I mean, that's as terrifying as it gets, and also very hard for like managing information on where the killer's position is. So a mixture of things on both sides, and we'll just see who plays it better, really. I think that's definitely coming into it as well.
Yeah, very important. And the players are getting ready in the background. Flick, Scrow, Fasty, and Ryan going to come in here on the Hawkins National Laboratory tier 3 Myers. A difficult opponent to play against. Let's see if they are going to be successful with their challenge. As we mentioned also, if you're interested in all the statistics around the All Hallows League, we had a match beforehand where we had a 0 stage on tier 3 Myers. You might guess which team it was. So we are making sure that
was it tier 1? Tier 1
was it tier 1 with the 0 stages?
It was the scratch mirror, yeah. I think we had like a really
okay, well, it's definitely scary. Definitely very scary for anyone who's coming in here with a Myers. I think it was you're right, it was 1 or 2 stages, then Eternal smashing it just casually. So hopefully not going to happen here. I feel like Eunoia and Rapture are pretty much on the same level so far.
Yes, and of course, I think it's going to be an important set for them to win, because this is going to be the break point for the teams. My prediction is already gone with the hope for the 3-0 for Eunoia, so I'm pretty sad about that. But we do get a contest out of it, so I'm happy too. As we're just loading in, and we're going to see how the game starts and progresses. And I feel like, the further in we go and the more sets we see, these teams are going to understand really how people are playing it. So at the start of it, I think we saw crazy results because it just wasn't really sure like how it was going to go. But now we've seen some of those results and seen how the games can pan out. Yeah, it's I think probably we'll get more expectation of what results we can see. As unfortunately, I believe
real quick as a context for everyone, we are now facing the exact same server issue that we were facing last week, and already, as we all know, The kill your friends mode in Dead by Daylight is not receiving the biggest love by the developers. We see this, for example, with the Wraith cosmetics that are bugged over multiple months, the FPS stuttering issue that we were dealing with over the past year, the plague weapon that is stuttering, and a lot more. And unfortunately, there has been a bug sneaking into the game where basically all the players are getting ready and then we are loading in, but only for 10 to 15 seconds, and then we are thrown back into the lobby, and everyone who was involved on the player side needs to completely restart the game because they are not able anymore to go into lobbies, they are not able to invite each other anymore, they are not able to invite our spectator, and this has last weekend caused really long delays. We were hoping that it's not going to happen here today, but it seems like it's back now. We are unsure if it's time related, because now on 7 p.m. European time, obviously the player load is increasing. A lot of people are using their Saturday evening because they have decided that touching grass is yesterday and it's time for playing some nice games. So maybe the servers are stuttering and suffering a little bit under the player load. We're trying to get them in as quick as possible. We are aware that breaks are usually not something that you're a fan of, and we can assure you we are trying to move as quick as we can, but sometimes there is a higher force, a higher power keeping us away from being faster. In this case, the servers. It seems like we are back. Crow, Ryan, Vasti, and Flix are ready to go. Raiden just needs to reset the build as he was thrown out of the lobby, and then we should be good to go, I feel like. Zach, this is almost more exciting and more tricky than the matches itself.
This is lobby casting. It's a different type of casting than what we're used to, Dyer. And we owe it to the bugs of DBD. I think it's very, maybe entertaining. I don't know. It could be. We could make it more entertaining. To cast the lobbies, I don't know, but it is unfortunate that these bugs do exist, and I think we're all a victim to them, and so the patience is appreciated as well, and we are loading in. Thankfully, I don't jinx it. My fingers are crossed as I said that, so best of luck to this second attempt. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt you. We will have a restart because Rapture is bringing in the offerings that are showing you the aura reading of the basement, and this is not allowed when the basement is not in the same location. It is allowed on a map like the game for a little bit of orientation, and now I would say the workload is, to be a little bit transparent, increasing a lot. We had the server issue, now we have to call a restart, so we are hopping on a quick break to solve this real quick on the end of the players, and we will be back in just a moment, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the housekeeping. Let me tell you why Team Rapture has received half of a hook stage penalty against themselves. We are basically enforcing offerings for the hatch and the basement, but here on Hawkins it's a little bit different because the offerings are not influencing that, and you have the advantage when you have switching basements that the basement offering is basically telling you by aura reading advantage where the basement is located, and the difficulty here is that we want our teams to check that themselves. It's part of the coordination for a match to send a survivor to check the basement location, not just freely taking this from the aura reading. It is allowed on maps like the game. For one survivor is a little bit of orientation where they are spawning. This is an older rule that is in the rule set since the very first version, actually in 2020, and unless the rule committee decides to change that, it is going to stay like this. The teams needs to organize themselves about checking where the basement is located. Even more unfortunate is that we posted a clarification announcement yesterday to all the teams as there were questions, and even with this clarification announcement, Rapture unfortunately managed to get themselves half of a hook stage penalty, so we could say it's really deserved in this case. Yet, Zach, it's of course very unfortunate because whenever we are talking about 4Ks, then a tiebreaker would now come in by the penalty.
Yes, it is unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we carry on. And I'm just going to hope for the best results possible, even with that penalty. As we see about 50% on tier 2, and he is finding survivors a bit quicker. Well, not quicker, but I think quicker than as quick as he would like. As he's about 75%. Using that unforeseen as well to catch the ace on Gen Fasty. Able to get really good progress on that stalk, and I believe this is probably going to be the trigger for the tier 3 as we go into this room here. We see eruption used, applied on 2 gens. Of course, very good for tier 3 miners with that insta down ability. As yep, gonna be mining that pallet and playing this. It's not the best really for denying the tier 3. As you see, he pops it there, and does he make this pallet? I don't. Oh, he just does. That's going to be really good. As he probably passes towards that portal room. Not going to want to take chase there. Sees this scratch marks here on this gen. Applying that unforeseen with the tier 3. So now the terrifying, horrifying, scary indoor Myers starts. Undetectable. And no one knows where he is. Here's repairs on the gen above. I'm not sure if probably he doesn't want to opt to take a chase there. No, moving away. Knows another survivor's here somewhere in the area. So see if we can catch them off guard. Moving down here in this long corridor. And we see some progress starting on these gens. And now it's just a case of trying to find that first down to get that eruption applied on the 3 gens. Ones with all the progress, and it is going to be EUN found here. Really nice patience on that pallet to get the stun. Buying time. Gonna take the chase upstairs. Dare I say, not the safest place. But just opting to hold W, and I don't know if there's much time here now. Not the safest place to run this mine, but oh, really well played by EUN there to get that vault over the window. That is a very difficult room to play, and he played it perfectly. And just every second counts now. He really needs a first down here. 2 gens have already popped and not a single down. So not ideal for Raiden. Had a good start on the tier 3. And oh no, that's unfortunate. EUN pulls the pallet on the wrong side, and there's going to be eruption applied and a first down of the game back.
Yeah, very strong. My claim would even be that you as a survivor should not be able to make it out of the room with the little table there. So the fact that Ryan was doing it was really strong, and I wouldn't even call it a misplay on the little pallet there, because his run was really impressive. 4 generators completed. Of course, it can all turn in a matter of seconds here, as the tier 3 Myers with the endless tier 3 is going to be a very tricky opponent to play against. Noticing that right here, going down onto the hook. Meanwhile, perfect timing to go for the unhook. Even if there would have been the slug, they came in the perfect moment to make sure that Ryan is going to be pulled off the hook. Now they have 3 survivors available on the generators, while Fasty is giving the team 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Grim Embrace helping a little bit. 2 stacks already. Might be the same plan from Raiden once more, as we've seen in the Nurse set, getting the individual survivors. Of course, that's a lot more tricky when you're playing the Michael. Flicks here in a difficult position. 50-50 mind game. Very quickly coming to an end. So Raiden now either realizing that Rapture is in a dominant position and therefore speeding up a little bit on the gameplay, or just warmed up with the Michael now and feeling more confident after winning a few important mind games. But this is what Team Eunoia really needs now. Their killer needs to have a few downs chained together, maybe even going for some slugging action here, getting the pressure in with the Michael. Raiden a little bit confused there where the survivor went, checking on the right side, and now going back towards the hook, trying to use the undetectable effect as best as possible. Unforeseen has been selected this time. This as a reminder a little bit, you have to bring unforeseen or trade-off moment in this trial, have this little bit of a Halloween effect when the killer is undetectable. It seems Flix might go into second stage because the are not worrying too much, and it would be understandable because I feel like we are having good pressure on the other generators.
Yeah, he walked past that one near the hook, and it was about 80%, I would say. So they are flying with it, and they might just opt to leave Flicks on hook because this is a tier 3 Mize camping. You are basically going to guarantee eruption if you trade there. So, oh, and it is the deliverance on the Flicks, able to free himself as he tries to swing for that down, and just going to continue chase. 3 survivors. Not in chase, and yeah, I don't think Raiden wants to commit this. He wants to make sure that they're not on these gens. And yeah, you see Rion there working it, and that gen is getting very close. And I'm surprised. So the last one, I believe, is upstairs, and there are 2 there in close proximity. So probably, I would say, like, pretty good, but there's a long journey upstairs, and Rion's playing this part really nicely. Is that dead hot? I believe. Really, really nice from Rion there. And the last gen does pop, so that is 1 hook stage. And all the gens being done. And does manage to avoid that M1 really nicely. The down does come down eventually because that is an unsafe room. Not able to play it as well as last time. Really, really good. And I believe these survivors are leaving because it is a tier 3 Mize. Very scary. That is going to be very nice result, I think. Rapture can be very, very happy with that there.
Absolutely. 5 stages is a brilliant result. That's going to be tricky to counter by the survivors of Team Eunoia. This strategy where they are trying to make sure that they are getting the tier 3 not too early might be very, very much the option to go with now. So hiding 2 survivors, trying to delay the tier 3 coming in from Team Rapture as quick as possible would definitely come out. I'm not too sure yet about the Grim Embrace here on the Michael, because at the end, even when he gets to tier 3 early, he is a pretty weak killer. We have a lot of resources on Hawkins as well, so getting this ideal scenario of all 4 survivors on the hook is pretty rare to achieve. We are hopping on a short break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after setting up trial number 6, and don't walk anywhere. We are back in a moment.
Hello everyone and welcome back, and we have a return fixture of tier 3 Myers on Hawkins National Laboratory. Rion here on the killer, and as you see there, Darkness Revealed in use, and on this map I would say very, very strong, getting information on the survivors, trying to secure that tier 3 as fast as possible. First chase going to be onto Sponge, going to be farming him for some Stalk to get his self tiered up, and he's going to be able to have that constant information stream as well, so very, very smart. We see play with your food and play as well. For that extra speed, so we're going to have a zooming tier 3 Myers eventually. As he saw a survivor up here on this gen earlier, and they are aware it is going to be on to Raiden. I believe the balance landing going to be used, and survivor's doing really well to cut these corners and to stop the Stalk going through. Almost approaching tier 2 now, and be up to open up for again for more vision, which does inevitably happen, and sees survivor close by, so this is going to be really, really good Stalk progress, and it is on to Alkali. Really nice pallet stun there. Going to try and run as far away as possible. Of course, the closer that Myers is to his target, the quicker the Stalk goes up, and so really, really ideal to get as much distance as possible, and a pallet stun definitely helps with that. Trying to deny as much line of sight as possible as the tier 2 comes upwards, and I would say roughly same sort of pacing as last game, Dyer.
Yeah, pretty much the same here, with the difference that we have play with your food on 2 stacks already. So Ryan is going to be a little bit of a zooming Michael here on Hawkins. Not sure if Serena will give enough Stalk progress to make it all the way into tier 3. That's not the case, but you have at least the 15% speed boost now. We can see Ryan is almost flying across Hawkins National Laboratory here, making sure to get as much as possible in. Trail of Torment is the choice this time. First generator coming out, and keep in mind, everyone, with the penalty onto Rapture with half a hook stage, there's not going to be a tie, so Ryan needs 6 hook stages basically to go for the win, and 5 stages on 2 survivors or 4 stages for Team Eunoia. And if that's not enough to go for... Okay, I was about to say this would be so unlucky if 1% is missing, but Sponge is in one hell of a difficult situation here against the 15% quicker Michael on this very, very bad pallet there for the first down. Coming through, Eruption doing a little bit of work on the generator in the distance. I think Ryan can be very happy with the results so far.
Yep, nice early hook. Of course, last game we saw very, very strong chases from the Rapture survivors to deny the Eunoia hooks early on into the game, and definitely a good start. See Eruption also in play, and the Blast Mine going to surprise Ryan there. It made me jump a little bit even. Applied trail to that gen, and of course Raiden was the one working on that before. You see some scratch marks running away there. Darkness revealed into the play with your food. I think very, very strong combination. So I think, very strong build as he sees Alkali there peeking behind that tile. Unfortunately not able to react in time, gets that early second down, and this is 4 gens remaining and 6 stages in order to win. A very, very good start to Rion's game here, as he's going to secure this hook on the Alkali. Sees a gen pop upstairs. 2 gens pop in the distance, so really nice gen progression actually from Eunoia. So I was a bit worried when I saw the 4 gens remaining, but looks like they are doing really well in the progression. And I believe that is Sponge on the other side of that wall, injured with the ace breaths. As he's just going to be looking around to see if he can find someone. Sees Raiden there. Will he opt to chase? Alkali being the obsession on the hook, so he's not going to be able to farm any more play with your food stacks. So they don't have to worry too much about assuming Myers, but they do still have to be very scared about the potential 4 downs preventing the unhook.
Yeah, not saving the team members so far. Just a few seconds until we are having the second hook stage applied to Zarina. Sponge still injured. The survivors not opting to go for injuries usually on this set. Not only because it's not worth it against the tier 3 mice, it is still definitely a decision to make, considering that you are much easier to locate, and this is the case, for example, for Metox here as well. Very quick down here for him. Survivors are now rotating in between the hook stages, trying to keep the team together, trying to keep as many survivors as possible on the generators. They are doing a good job with that, having Metox on hook in exchange for another survivor on the hook now. 3 stages here so far when we are talking about these the hooks on the survivors minus the half of a hook stage by the penalty is bringing us down to 2.5. So we need to do a little bit more work. Only half time for Ryan so far. Metox is potentially facing the unhook very soon. We have a few steps and a few scratch marks around. Going to have a little bit of aura reading here as well. Very different perk build compared to the trial of Raiden, where we have seen more this generator defense with the Grim Embrace, for example, with the Eruption as well. There are a lot more perks, a lot more resources all around the objectives on the survivor side. Ryan deciding to go with something else, more the info perk, knowing what is going to be a good chase to take. Where's the survivor around drop pallets? Where's someone that I can get relatively quickly? 40% on the corner generator will be needed by Eunoia. They really need to get into the end game without any additional stage here to make sure that the winning chances are still high. Ryan going to decide now to catch Raiden here, who got a little bit of distance either by the Lithe or balanced landing that block there. on this survivor, able to run out Ryan for quite some time. And now we are back onto Mathis here, who's still in this room, was going for the generator. Locker going to be picked. Eruption coming out on the generator, but it will be one additional stage for Ryan. So we are going to face the turning point, and Eunoia from now on needs to play a perfect game. If Mathis dies, that would already be enough for Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely devastating. I was a bit relieved when Mathis was the deliberate survivor, because that meant that they didn't have to worry about the unhook. So that is a bit of a lifeline, but now the game is ramping up and they absolutely need no more downs, no more stages. This gen has really progressed. I do wonder if they have any other progress on the map. 2 stages of play with your food as Trail of Torments applied, and we have a zooming Myers, undetectable, very scary and hard to avoid. So very, very difficult situation to be in for the survivors, and trying to communicate and just try and understand where this Myers is. And I don't believe this is the safest room to really play. Trying to mind game this pallet, and unfortunately not the safest. And we'll see how Raiden plays this. So far so good. As he has a connecting loop here on the outside. Oh, but it's going to get the down, and that is very, very devastating for the survivors. Eruption applied on that gen, back to 50, and they are doubling it, trying to get into that end game. And that is going to be the win secure for Rion once this hook goes through.
Yeah, congratulations once again to Team Rapture. It seems like Eunoia is unfortunately not able to continue the win streak that they started with the Cannibal set here today. Rapture turning out to be a little bit ahead of them in set 2 and 3 with the Nurse, and now also the more mechanical tier 3 Myers. So this is usually pointing towards a team in general being stronger. If we have killers from the same tier, for example the Nurse and the Blight, then you could say, okay, yeah, the opponent team is struggling a little bit when under pressure or when having to make quick decisions, but then they can shine on a Demogorgon set, for example, on a Myers set. But here Rapture across the board now establishing a little bit of a dynamic, and important will be for Team Eunoia. Hello and welcome to the arms of Michael Myers. Very quick down for Ryan here. Few additional stages coming out, a little bit of a service being provided here by Zarina. Not sure if Ryan is not too greedy there, should be able to just have time for the hook. We do see that Raiden is going towards the door. Mathis and Sponge will try to follow, getting out here. And of course, Eunoia would like to see a little bit of a great endgame for themselves before loading into the ultimate enemy, the wall hack Myers. Basically, we're going to force the killers in the upcoming set to bring the famous scratched mirror, and in exchange these survivors cannot play with any perks. So we are going to enter set 4 with blank loadouts here. Rapture with a 2-1, very strong showing after a few downs trials in the first set. Eunoia needs to make the most out of their chance here. It's basically their chance to come back or packing the bag and go home. So we are going to show you this potentially last set that is going to decide about the future of Team Eunoia after this short break. Welcome back everyone, and Zach and me, when discussing this upcoming set in the break, said match point on the Mirror Myers. There's definitely something that is calming you more, and in this case we are talking about the side of Eunoia here. Because when you are trying to get a set point that you really need to prevent yourself from dropping from the tournament, then playing the Mirror Michael, where everything can fall apart a little bit if the communication and coordination is not on point, can be tricky. Unfortunate for Team Eunoia that Sponge, the obsession, is in first chase here, building up the play with your food already, and it seems like very smart. Sponge is running after the killer to delay the token being gained. We haven't seen that so far in AHL. Very nice move. Now also making sure that Michael is wasting a token, not leveling up to 3. We can only hope that Sponge is finding a reset, while Mikey is trying to sneak up on that survivor, or even going into the chase here would be possible with 2 tokens. Maybe we even see someone coming in for the body block. 3 tokens now on play with your food, 15% of extra speed. Difficult situation for Eunoia straight from the beginning. An injured survivor who's trying to find a reset against a wall hacking killer that is moving 15% faster. Zach, this already sounds like a little bit like a drama. Oh
yeah, and nasty hit on the pallet. My goodness, that is very, very good for EUN there, and very bad for Eunoia. Of course, this map, being indoor, and you've got a stealth killer, you've got to have good communication on the position. You've got a zooming Myers coming around the corner. How do you communicate that when he's moving at light speed? I'm not sure. But yeah, really well played there to get down onto Sponge. A little unfortunate podcast hit on the pallet. It does happen, and it is pretty sad when it does. This is going to be a hell to say, I believe, on the arena. Yep, very well played on the Alkali. And there's going to be 2 stacks of play with your food. As we saw, we see Friends till the end in play. So when Sponge was hooked, the obsession transferred over to Alkali. So the ideal survivor he wants to chase if he wants to chain these stacks of play with your food. So really nice play from Rion. A nice perk combination there. As he does spot Sponge out. We have 2 gens currently completed for the survivors, 2 injuries on the board. And does spot Sponge out up here, and he is quite fast currently. I do wonder if he makes it anywhere. Makes it to this pallet. Gonna drop that and play it a little bit. And nice little locker juke there. Gonna just belay the down as much as possible. Very nice there. And this is going to be a basement hook for Sponge, unfortunately. So it's 2 stages on the board. We have Raiden there lurking in the locker. And Alkali on this gen. As you know, the perk makes the obsession exposed, but as Alkali is already injured, that's not going to be too much value. Gen pops there in the distance, and he has found Raiden here on the edge of the map. Gonna opt to circle back, see if he can catch a survivor off guard going for the save. Does see some scratch marks, and it is going to be Metok here in TV room, and he sees the survivors in the area. Going to try and delay this unhook as much as possible. Pretty unfortunate situation there with the basement hook. I wonder how this game is going to play out from this point onwards, Dyer.
Yeah, the problem is the survivors are not even swarming around the hook to really get the team member out of the basement. They are also all around here because the gens are so close together. He basically has the free kill in the basement at the moment. 4 generators all around in different direction. Perfect setup for our killer. This is basically the dream. If you are ever asking yourself how paradise looks like in heaven and you are a DBD player, then the answer is right here on your screen. This is how it looks like. Sponge is now going to die in the basement, and Ryan is going to feel really good about that. Only has to worry about 3 survivors. One of them is also injured, finds the obsession again. So things really falling together here for Ryan, getting the tokens, getting the pressure, trying to get after this survivor. Needs to make sure that he's not overextending this chase, as the other 2 survivors are currently cranking the generators, and our Zarina definitely not having the worst setup here with all these pallets. Our killer decides to circle back now, but the main room should be lost if I'm not underestimating the speed on the generator. Yeah, he is able to do that. So Ryan basically losing a generator, and I feel like this was avoidable. He was definitely greeding a little bit for 3 stacks there on the bottom side on Larry's, following Zarina a little bit too far. I feel like this should be a lesson for Ryan, that he's not underestimating the efficiency of Eunoia anymore.
Yeah, we do see the last 3 generators in relative close proximity. A little bit similar situation last week with the 4 gen that we saw, which just did lead to the 4K. So I think pretty scary situation to be in Eunoia now, especially because they're not going to be able to get away from this Myers. And and he might opt to just play around this area. And as we said before, last week, the resources being depleted over time could essentially spell trouble. But we did see quite far progress on that gen in library. No, it wasn't library. It was one of the side rooms. Don't believe he gets this done though. If the Myers does hightail it over there, which it looks like he is, and sees the Claudette hiding off there in the distance. Gonna kick this gen and sees Raiden there, but maybe not up to stay there. As yeah, we have a hook relatively close to these gens. Not ideal, but the distance from the hook means that they can get the save. And so yeah, just a matter of time. They just need to put these gens out and try and secure the best result possible. This is a very strong performance on Scratch Mirror. So they're up against it, so they're going to want to make sure that they don't make any more mistakes to give them the best chance of fighting back against this strong result from Rapture.
Yeah, Eunoia in a little bit of an emergency situation here as well. All three survivors are now injured. The generator setup is not the best for the survivor team. I also feel like the coordination at the moment is missing a little bit. The three survivors are scattered for quite some time now, not meeting up for a potential reset, not pulling away too far from the generator either. So what they could try to do here is going all the way into the corner. They are doing this now. Maybe then hopefully in a location where they are kind of safe, and if no one is dropping the pallet, then this is definitely not going to be a lot of safety here. So the panic is now also rising on the side of these survivors, and Ryan gaining more and more confidence throughout the trial here, pushing off the survivor that could potentially get the final generator done. Unfortunate news for all the Eunoia fans. Ever since the Cannibal set came out so strong, Eunoia was one step behind Team Rapture. Ryan able to down these survivors, able to win these mind games. Raiden waiting a little bit too long on the one side of the pallet, not expecting that Ryan would just confidently swing through. Now the reset coming in a lot of distance opposite side of the map here, so this is the chance to get both survivors into the full reset. Afterwards they need to split up, they need to make sure that Ryan cannot chain the downs together. But if Ryan is playing this correctly, Zach, it should be the 4K.
Yes, the third Scratch Mirror Myers as far as I know, and 2 4K ones. That is definitely not an expectation I had. I think that unfortunately, you know, have backed themselves into a corner with this generator positioning, unfortunately, and with one survivor dead, it makes communication so much harder, at least for the location of the killer. So they need to really be running as far away as they possibly can to do this reset and to really reclaim some of the pressure that's on them and fight back. Raiden's still going to be slugged on the floor, and yeah, he is going to be trying to spot out this reset here if he can. No luck so far. Was that a survivor we just spotted over there? I believe it was. And has found Metox in the corner of the map. Quite a safe pallet here. And Metox is the obsession, so going to be farming for play with your food stacks and just walks away. Trying to see if he can find... knows the survivors aren't together, so there is an injury on the board for Alkali as well. So they're going to have to play this really carefully. But what can they do? They've got an aura reading Myers, and they have no way of knowing where he is until he is right behind them. Finds Alkali here, running into this room. Strong window setup here, so going to be able to buy some time for the pickup, which does come through. And if Alkali can last here, then hopefully they are able to get a reset in and get back on their feet a little bit. Of course, the ideal chase area. And playing these windows really well. Yeah, and you can see the reset coming through there on the HUD. So they are getting back on their feet, as I said, just a little bit. And he's going to want to find these survivors. He sees them over there. Knows the rough area of where they are. And I think they've slowed the game down enough now to really bring it back a little bit. Alkali is still at risk of being downed. But yeah. Good from Eunoia, I think.
Yeah, one thing that really amazes me about Team Eunoia is how they are always making a comeback still, even in the most difficult situations. The problem that I, at least, think to have identified is that they are even getting in this situation, and it feels like they're getting into it a little bit too early. They have a good early game. In general, they are efficient on the generators. They are getting a few generators done, and then they are losing the team member, and then I always feel like it's falling a little bit apart. Not so much that they are instantly getting 4K'd, but they are definitely dropping on the resets, dropping on the generator pressure, and everything is slacking a little bit. And then they are in this position where they need to play so out of their mind that they are making a comeback. And the best case for Eunoia would be that they are not getting in this position where a comeback is needed, and more like where efficiency can be maintained. This would, I think, be the goal that Eunoia can work for. Good news is that Raiden has 2 minutes and 20 seconds on the hook though, so we are having a little bit of extra time while we are following Matox now, who's been revealed here with 5% of extra speed, but since he's the obsession now that is gaining or handing out the tokens for the Michael, it might be a more difficult chase. Ryan doesn't want to collect the tokens though, is happy with just taking one after applying this hit, and is opting to go for Zarina. She's potentially working on a generator here. Mirror not showing her though, so Putane, there she is, was behind the generator for a second, and Ryan also proving his situational awareness in this trial, not overextending to any chase, not forcing tunnel vision on getting a second survivor eliminated. Of course, this is always the wish of the killer player, cutting down the survivor team to 2 individuals remaining, but you need to remember how many seconds you spent in the chase, how high the progress was on the other generators, so you can carefully calculate how much time you have in the current chase. And Ryan is perfectly doing that, getting Zarina onto the floor now, and realizes as well, in case the survivors came over, I might not have enough time to go for the hook stage here, so guarding the generators is more important. Honestly, Ryan playing this textbook perfect. This could be a tutorial for how to defend your generators.
Yeah, and I feel like with comeback scenarios for these teams, it really does show kind of team they are, and able to come back from these scenarios shows that they are strong. And in these Halloween sets, when we see the crazy results and so situations like this where it's really close, I think it's really entertaining to see how the teams play around it. Ryan, of course, knows he just needs to defend the gens, or at least that's what he's prioritizing. The survivors know they need to take him as far away as possible. So he spots a reset out here onto Alkali and Metok. And of course, every second counts in these chases, and as far away as he can go from those gens is the best case scenario for Eunoia, as they are just gradually edging these gens closer and closer. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of time, either before they all falter or that last gen gets done. Continue chase onto Metok here. The obsession, farming those, play with your food stacks, and yeah, it's I feel like it's essentially reset, get back on the gens, and try and understand where the Myers is going. It's a bit of a loop here we're seeing.
Yeah, it's all coming down to the question, who's going to commit the next mistake, right? Are these survivors a little bit too greedy, potentially getting grabbed somewhere, being spotted while trying to go for the reset? Or is it going to be Ryan forgetting about the generator defense and ultimately following a survivor too long or checking in the wrong corner? And this chance is happening right here. Eunoia on 95. Ryan approaching. Survivor realizing in time. But of course, Zarina now calling the teammates. Raiden, maybe go for the office if you can, instead of rescuing the team member. Not going to happen. They prioritize staying as 3 in this trial. But now Ryan needs to worry about Zarina going back to the library. Maybe he's realizing that it's ultimately not going to be enough pressure, and therefore he rather keeps 2 survivor in the base placement instead of all of them walking out of the door. Successful with that. And these two survivors with the, I think we can call that a little bit of a failed unhook attempt here. Going to be the tricky decision in the end game. Is Zarina going to make it out of the trial? And hiding doesn't make any sense when you have a wall hack Myers. So all you can pray for is that he's walking to the wrong exit gate first, or somehow not realizes where you're located, but it's not going to happen. 4K on 5 gens remaining, though really huge respect and shout out to Team Eunoia. We talked about it. It feels like they are getting into a difficult situation a little bit too easy, a little bit too quickly, but what they are then showing when being in this tricky situation as comeback is really, really strong. So 5 generators completed here in this trial. I think I said 5 gens remaining. I meant 5 gens completed. Forgive me after a long day here in the office. And this is pretty important, Zach, though, when we're looking on the upcoming trial, because now your killer, the killer for Team Eunoia, who's ultimately responsible now so Eunoia doesn't drop from the tournament, can go for an endgame speed run if needed, keeping the survivors in the trial, making a clean 4K on 0 gens remaining, and making sure they reach the tie. And I feel like this is giving a little bit of a safety if you know, even if all the gens pop, okay, if I can keep them in the trial, we achieve the tie, we have another set to come back, we have another set to put Rapture under pressure, and having this in the back of your mind that Rapture needs an out actually on the upcoming game, that can be a little bit of a safety factor for Eunoia's killer here.
Yeah, 4K on Scratch Mirror, I feel like is a huge thing to achieve. I mean, especially in these settings. But I feel like the situation where they got themselves into a 3-gen really allowed for that to happen. It was really, really unfortunate. We don't expect 4Ks on Scratch Mirror, so I feel like there's a bit of a water climb. Whilst it is a safe result with the end game, I think it's going to be difficult to achieve. I'm not sure, Dyer. I'm not confident, but we'll see. Raiden, I'm not sure if he's the killer, but we've seen strong results so far from Eunoia. So I mean, they've come back from situations like this, I think, before.
Yeah, absolutely. They showed us they have what's needed. They have the coordination. They have the will, maybe even an iron will to fight back here against the killer. We're waiting for the invite now, getting Rapture into the lobby here, but it is potentially the final trial. So if you are a Eunoia fan, then make sure that you are expressing your support for this newcomer team. Very lovely people, as we described in Campfire Chat, winning the newcomer tournament, you could say, the Weekend Cup, coming into All Hallows League. A lot of people saying, oh, what are they doing here? Isn't DBDL the top 16? Well, Eunoia even made it into the playoffs as top 8. So don't underestimate these players. And if you are a Eunoia fan right now, then it's time to stand up in front of your PC. Maybe don't rip your Eunoia shirt apart, but get the logo out, spray with graffiti across the living room. Tell your parents that it's really important. Drag them in front of the PC, hype up the vuvuzelas, and make sure that you are ultimately carrying Eunoia to the win. And if you're a Rapture fan, then feel free to do the same. So your team is taking the very decisive trial number 8 that we are about to witness here. Tier 1 Myers has just shown us also how we are being thrown back a little bit to these core counterplays from the survivors, because in Comp DBD we had for a long time this shift away from resetting constantly, away from pulling back from the generators. We even see that in the public matches now. A lot of survivors seem to prefer staying injured, bringing perks like resilience as well. And on the tier 1 Myers, this is technically not working anymore. So we really see this old DBD meta from 2021, 2020, where you're pulling back, taking time to reset. And I kind of love that. It's a little bit of nostalgia.
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see those nostalgia feelings coming back. And again, in this setting where you just don't see that, is really entertaining to watch. I'm excited to see how this set goes. Of course, 4K can be quite daunting, as I said, but I believe in Eunoia. I was at the very start cheering from them, so I am following your instructions right now, Dyer. I'm still sat down, but I am kicking my legs in excitement as we are just setting up the lobby here. Players are setting up, readying up, and hopefully we'll see an unknown tiebreaker. We'll just have to see.
What do you mean an unknown tiebreaker? We know the tiebreaker. It's the unknown. Wait, didn't we know the tiebreaker we just said when you mentioned it's an unknown tiebreaker? And maybe, ladies and gentlemen, it is an unknown tiebreaker because we're using the unknown for an unknown tiebreaker. But do we then really know what this unknown tiebreaker played with the unknown on the unknown tiebreaker is? This is the question that we have to solve for yourself. Is the answer known? No, it's unknown, because we can tell you the known answer to the unknown set is played with the unknown. So just stick to being unknown for set number 5. I don't know if that made any sense. I lost myself during the speech. I'm trying to fill the gap until who's not ready there? Ryan needs to press ready. Go ahead. Your fans are waiting. Get us into Larry's Memorial Institute. Is it going to be trial number 8 and the success for Team Rapture? Or is it I don't even know why Ryan is not ready. There are 0 perks to equip. There's nothing to cook, Ryan. Put the spoon aside and load in. Okay, he heard me, and we are going. Yeah, he's scared now.
He's listening. He hears you.
Difficult though. Now back to the game, since we are loading in. I really don't want to be in the position that Raiden is in right now, because Raiden is basically carrying the responsibility on his shoulders about the question: is Eunoia dropping from the tournament or staying in?
Yeah, I think he needs a good start to this game to settle those nerves. Of course, back against the wall, these Rapture survivors have their win con. They know what they need to do. Of course, Rion there with his 3-gen. I feel like they're going to be able to adapt to what they've just played against, so they don't want to make that same mistake. And as we are loading into the match for Raiden, we'll see if you can do it. So we see No Ed and No Way Out. So the end game build. So we do have hope for a bit of a spicy end game. We see Dragon Script and Play With Your Food as well. Of course, providing Myers with that speed. And just trying to find the survivors. Finds 2 here in the mid-map. Of course, they're lurking in the middle of the map there to see if we can find the approaching Myers, which they do. So they are going to want to slow down this Myers as much as possible, deny him any health states, deny him any pallets. And I feel like for Raiden, he wants to catch someone off guard here. So trying his best to do that, not committing chases. Checking lockers, see if there's any hiding survivors. And you see this with Larry's Memorial and Stealth Killers, is just you have survivors lurking in those corridors trying to find the killer and call it out to the team so that they know where to position themselves. And sees a crouching survivor here by the pallet, playing as safe as they possibly can. Gonna opt to kick that, and that is Fasty, the Obsession. So he is going to be able to start farming those Play With Your Food stacks and get himself going in the set. As chase starts. Going to use the walls to that chase mechanic, and whilst he's doing this, he's trying to get information on the other survivors, so trying to set himself up for where he wants to go next. Realizes the slow start to the game that he's had so far. 2 stacks of Play With Your Food at 10% speed, and hopefully going to get a 3rd one here. And Fasty walking there to deny chase, so understands that ideally doesn't want to give away those stacks, but unfortunately that is going to be the 3rd stack. So we have a zooming tier 1 Myers going across the map, and we see some gem progression already. Ideally wants it down fast, I would say, to get those stacks of No Way Out going. as he finds Rion, and he does have this pallet. I think he does make it. Really nice mind game there to avoid the hit, and yeah, I mean, you really need these health states going, and the survivors are playing really well. Have to give it to Rapture. And unfortunately not going to get the Bokos hit that we saw last game onto Sponge. Bit of a ping difference, unfortunately. And yeah, see these gens being worked on, and we'll just see where he goes next.
Yeah, I feel like we are seeing a little bit this wave of motivation on the side of Rapture, because they are very aware that they only need one last good survivor trial to make sure that they are moving on into the top 6 in all Hallows League. So this is also a good reason to play very confident. The comms are on point, the hype is spreading in the VC, and for Raiden it's going to be a difficult trial. Every single mind game that is not working out instantly triggers in the back of your mind, we are going to drop from DBDLeague today if it's not going to work out. So Rapture mentally here in a much better position, having the easier trial, if you want to call it like this, on their shoulders. And I think we can see this right here, how this trial is being played, who's having the upper hand, trying to make it work. I also feel like when we are looking across the best of 5, the perks that the killers have to set beforehand, so No Way Out and Know It, are actually something Raiden was keeping in mind, expecting that Rapture is going to get all the generators done. But I feel like when we are looking at the Dragon's Grip, the perks that Eunoia was picking for the killer sets didn't really work out today. In the tier 3 Myers, for example, we had the Grim Embrace that didn't really come in clutch because we didn't get individual survivors. On the Nurse set, it didn't help us too much. A little bit of pressure was definitely there. And on the Cannibal, it all fell together. But after that, perks, gameplay, maybe also a little bit of luck, really not on the side of Eunoia. And we see it here as well. We have a perk slot for the Dragon's Grip. So far, not able to go for the advantage of that. Dragon's Grip triggers in the distance. No time to rotate so far. Oh, actually, he does, because the survivor also moved closer towards the killer, unaware where the Myers is located. So maybe we have a very unexpected Dragon's Grip value, but the answer is no. Survivor not in the exposed status effect anymore after taking the pressure onto themselves. Yeah, Zach, it's looking rough. There needs to be some sort of miracle if this is supposed to work out for Team Eunoia.
This is a repeat of last week, a 4K into a potentially daunting return game. First health state secured at 1 gen remaining. Definitely not something you want if you are Raiden right now. And yeah, the pressure that Rapture are putting on him right now is insane. And I don't know if they're gonna let up, to be honest. Especially when they know that they want to secure their position in the tournament. They do not want to lose, and they are not gonna let Raiden have any sort of wiggle room here. Looking at the gen spread, it is a bit of a better situation for Rapture, so not able to hold them here. There's 3 gen, but 4 survivors alive, all healthy. Not many pallets used so far on the map, lots of resources. As we find 2 survivors here in the corner of the map, so a bit of a good sign for Raiden there, getting the hit onto Crow, and Fasty hiding over here in the corner, waiting for that last gen to pop, I imagine. What progress is on 65%, as he has found it. Ideally wants a down right now, I would say is first priority for Raiden. But yeah, they know where he is. They're calling out the positions, and you can see it's a very, very high setting for him to really fight against.
It's so sad to see, though, that our tier 1 Myers is not as strong as we would love to see him. Of course, we would love to have a Myers with success, but this might be the second trial in AHL that is ending with 0 stages. Raiden trying everything, trying to get stacks together, downs together, injuries together, but it's not really working. We even have Ace around who can potentially come in and assist a little bit, but Crow is vaulting one time too often, and Vasti is patiently waiting for the exit gates to be ready to go, but the final generator unfortunately not ready just yet. They want to wait potentially for the injury coming out so no one escapes death. It's not dealing too much damage, but the final generator is still not done. So I wonder what Vasti is waiting there in the distance when the final generator is still taking so long. A little bit of chaos going on here now. There has enough time passed so Raiden can just go after Crow. Nice mind game here with the fake onto the pallet. So trying to hide here, and there's the final generator going on into the end game, and I don't see any scenario where Team Rapture is not going to take it out here. They know that one stage out of the door is enough, and they will certainly get it.
Yes, and as I've just realized, Fasti being the obsession, denying those stacks of play with your food, denying that in-game speed that he so desperately needs. Unfortunately, can't take credit for that call, as I saw it in the background. But yeah, as they just need one survivor out, Fasti's on this door right now, so him leaving would secure the win for Rapture, which they do realize. And very, very well played. Congratulations to Rapture for securing the win over Eunoia. Eunoia played very, very well throughout the tournament. They've impressed me massively, which is why I had high hopes for them today. But yeah, I think both teams played really well, and Rapture inevitably came out on top.
Rapture, congratulations of moving into the second round of the lower bracket in these playoffs. 6 teams are going to remain next weekend, and we're finishing it off though with a nice end game. Mori, a very great leave from the stage for Team Eunoia. As said, ladies and gentlemen, I think we can give a huge applause for Team Eunoia coming in as a newcomer team. It's their first tournament they ever played on the DBDLeague stage. When we are talking about the big events in the Weekend Cup, we saw the potential. They took it in a very nice best of 7 final back then. Then we were excited. Is Eunoia going to come out on top? They had a difficult group as well, and now we can congratulate them as one of the top 8 teams in DBDLeague. So really, really strong showing. Team Rapture, and of course, my prediction was correct, Zach.
Yeah, well done.
What a surprise. Team Rapture coming out and moving into the top 6.